Today's topic is how to be your own editor. If you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips to help you do just that. Well, there's no disputing the fact that professional editing adds value to your book and to everyone else's book as well. But one of the things that I've noticed over the last decade or so is that a whole cottage industry of author services seems to have sprung up. And among those services will be editing services. And you know, there are great editors out there, but you could also find yourself with a dud of an editor. And one of the things that you need to recognize is it's going to cost you a fair bit to have that editing done. So if you can provide an excellent manuscript to that editor to begin with, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So either way you look at it, it's really important for you to be able to evaluate your own writing. Sometimes you might want to evaluate it just to see if something you've written is actually worth publishing at all. Because as I've always said, not everything we write is worth publishing. So I have a few ideas about how you can evaluate your own writing all along the process, from beginning idea to the end. So here we go. Here are my 5 tips. Tip number 1 is to think like a reader. Now you're a writer, so you're also a reader, aren't you? So I want you to consider what you're thinking about when you're reading a book. When you begin reading a book, you immediately get the sense of whether or not that book actually hooks you. And if it doesn't, is it because the idea is crappy, or is it the execution of the idea? That's a question you need to ask yourself when you're reading your own material. What else are you thinking about as a reader? While you're reading someone else's book, it might be worthwhile making a list of the kinds of things that you're thinking about as you're evaluating that book, what you're enjoying about it, what you're not enjoying about it, and then use that list to evaluate your own as a reader. Tip number 2, think like an editor. When you're reading your work, think about things like, is it well crafted? Does it show a good grasp of the English language? Has it got good grammar, syntax, spelling, punctuation? All of those things that an editor is going to look at. Tip number 3, read it aloud. And I mean read the whole thing, even if it's a book-length piece. And it's worthwhile reading out loud the work that you've done the day before as you sit down to write today. And I tell this to people all the time. I used to tell my students that you need to evaluate the writing and the style of the writing, not just by what you see on the page and what you're thinking about it as you're reading it, but you need to hear it. You need to listen to it. You can hear different kinds of things. The story will resonate differently if you read it out loud. Number 4, keep a notebook or a diary of your most common writing errors. Everybody has them. Everyone has specific things that they do on a regular basis. For example, one of my own personal common errors is leaving out commas. So I have to be really careful about this. You should use this list of your own common errors every day as you sit down to reread the work that you did the day before, and also at the end. The other thing about this is that it can be an ongoing list. If you see that you're making the same mistake that you hadn't noticed before, but you're doing it in this piece several times, write that in your diary and use that to help you evaluate the next piece of writing that you do. Tip number 5, read an old piece of your writing and then read a more recent one. And do this on a regular basis. Is your writing getting better? It should be. Everybody's writing usually does. And the more writing that you do, good, bad, or indifferent, is going to improve your writing as you go forward. Specifically look at it and see what aspects of your writing have improved. What parts of your writing really haven't improved? If you can see you're still making the same kinds of errors or it's still sounding the same, those are the areas for you to work on. That helps you to evaluate your own writing in an overall way. One of the beautiful things about evaluating your own writing is you can see your progress, and you will make progress. Your writing will get better. And every time you think that you've written a terrific book or a terrific magazine piece or a terrific blog post, and then you continue writing and you go back to that post that you thought was so terrific, you might find that your writing is so much better. So evaluate your own writing and enjoy the process. Talk to you next time. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat. and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.